Good morning, everyone. Give everyone some time to get in, but I'm very excited for our webinar that we have today. So welcome to the CareerRise Industry Partnership monthly webinar. Today we are talking about skilled trades. It's definitely the one of our topics that has come up a lot this year, skilled trades manufacturing, especially with the WANTO grant, but we're very excited to kind of dive into kind of what it's really like going into those careers and how to be best prepared for them. As we get going, we'd love for you to introduce yourself in the chat. Let us know. Is this your first time on our webinar? Maybe what group you're with or what part of the state you're chiming in from. So we would love to get to know y'all. I do see some names that I'm very familiar with. So of course, if you're one of our folks that come to our webinar every month, we're very excited to have you back. We hope that you find this valuable and keep on coming back. Tell all your friends and family, right? So today we would love for you to continue to use the chat feature as you go. As Brooke said, Brooke dropped it in the chat. If you have any questions as you go, please drop them in the chat, but we do have some time for Q&A built into our plan today. But really encourage you to use the reactions. This is a great way to let our presenters and our speakers know, what you're vibing, what's going on. If you don't see if you're not familiar with the reaction button, probably on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little heart that says react, or it might be listed under the more menu. If you click that, you get a couple of different options. This is, as I said, this is an easy way for the presenters to see what's going on, as well as telling everyone else that's here with us on the webinar today. So very excited. And happy Earth Day. I'm actually not sure what the exact day is. My apologies. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brooke, for dropping in a Earth Day link. So I should know this as somebody who I always call myself super crunchy and try to do a lot for the planet. So my apologies for not knowing that date. So April 22nd, Earth Day. So try to get out and enjoy our beautiful planet and maybe do something to help a girl out, right? Help out our planet Earth. So we'll go ahead and get started. So today, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about CareerRise in case this is the first time that you're joining our webinar. We have a great worksource welcome from one of our partners. And then we are going to have a little panel / presentation about misconceptions and changing perceptions about skilled trades jobs with a great guest speaker. We will plan for time for Q&A, and then we will wrap it up with some updates and get you out of here in time for lunch. So just a quick overview about what CareerRise is in case this is your first time. So CareerRise is, we are a workforce intermediary, and really our goal is to just expand access to opportunities and resources that promote economic mobility, that support skilled workers, champion good jobs, and strengthen communities. And really what that means in a nutshell is we want to be like collaborative convener that brings the job seekers, the employers, the community resources, and all of those workforce opportunities together, in this ecosystem, so that we can all work together towards that goal to really help individuals not just find jobs, but find long careers that have living wages so that they can drive economic mobility for themselves and their families, which of course just makes our communities more resilient. At CareerRise, we have kind of two teams. We have our West Side Works team, which is a location-based on the West Side. And the other team is our Industry Partnerships team, and that is the team that is putting on this webinar for you. I am Cherie Blight. I'm the interim director for our Industry Partnerships team, and really what we do for the IP team is, you saw this slide before, there's a lot that can be going on in workforce development, and really our goal is to make that easier for employers to plug into and for the organizations that help both employers and job seekers so that we can get more people into workforce development and that long-term success that we talked about. And there's a couple of different ways that we do this. One way is about education, and that's a lot of where our webinars come in, is really just getting out some best practices or sharing knowledge, bringing the experts to you so that you can hear more perspectives, and help you navigate through that system. And sometimes that also is our technical assistance support on how you navigate the system. We also want to create alignment to drive towards common goals. And really what that means is there's so many of us and all of us that we want we have the same goal of helping individuals, get those living wages, have long-term career success. So how can we work together to remove barriers, to help change policy or drive employment, right? So working together towards all those common goals. And sometimes that also means building capacity. We are a grant funded organization. So sometimes that means that we can get a grant to take on maybe some of the bandwidth, and that provides low risk programming for employers. And a lot of times what low risk means is we just want your support and your access, and it might not cost you hardly anything or nothing. So, really a couple of different ways that we try to help support the system. As I mentioned, our webinar series quite often fits into that first bucket about education. And we really want to be able to bring practical tools and ideas and best practices, and resources to you. And it normally falls into one of the 5 themes that you see on screen. We quite often hear these typical problems come up over and over again. So we try to focus on them. So most employers really do need support in either hiring or candidate sourcing, training and registered apprenticeships. Employment success support and quality careers can kind of go hand in hand. When you think of employment success, it's like, how can we remove barriers to help people get to the employment day to day? And then the quality careers and workplaces is, how do you make sure that they are liking the jobs and they're staying in the jobs and it's a great environment for them to stay in. And then the last bucket is about career awareness and promotion. And today's topic actually hits a couple of these, but we are going to learn a lot about skilled trades and what it's like to work in them today. So very excited. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Lauren Green. He is our Director of Workforce Development for DeKalb, and we are so happy to have him not only on today to kind of do a little welcome, but to be a partner of CareerRise and the work that we do together.
All right. Thank you very much, Sherry, for that introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning to everyone. Particularly, I guess, April, National Apprenticeship Week will be April 26th, starting that week. There's never been a better time, for women to explore opportunities and careers in manufacturing and skilled trades. So, uh, you know, these careers offer paid opportunities, industry recognized credentials, and of course, there is a strong earning potential as well as career advancement. So, whether you're interested in construction, welding, industrial maintenance, electrical work, HVAC, logistics, advanced manufacturing, there is room for women in these careers to succeed and to lead. So, the future of these industries depend on strong talent, determination, skill. Women belong in these industries, and these industries need women. So, in DeKalb County, we're very much focused on that as well. We understand that workforce development must reflect both, opportunity and inclusion for all. So, I welcome you to learn as much as you can, take advantage of these opportunities. Visit us in DeKalb Work Source, and we're launching our new DeKalb Works, in which we'll offer opportunities in construction trades. So please apply, stay tuned, and enjoy your session today.
Thank you so much, Lauren. That really helps set the stage. I know I have an employer that always says, if I am not recruiting and hiring women, I'm leaving half the population out of my talent pool, right? So, or a little bit higher than half, but but yes, definitely encouraging women to be in these fields is very important for the long-term success of our workforce in Georgia. So thank you so much for setting that stage for us. So now we're going to go into kind of a presentation and conversation with Julie. Julie is the lead for career pathways at the Center for Energy and Workforce Development, and she works a lot with a great organization that's part of that called Higher Power Her. So, Julie, would you love to? I would love to have you come on and tell us a little bit about you and the work that you do. Oh, it looks like Julie might have lost some connectivity there, but I'm sure she will jump back on. Oh, well, that was quick. Hi, Julie. Hey, technology, what you gonna do? It's totally fine.
My most sincere apologies. My internet just went out, so I quickly went on to my hotspot on my phone. Apologies to the audience.
Totally fine. You have great timing. I was just asking you to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Okay. Well, I'm Julie Strzempko, and evidently I have a very poor internet connection. Uh, I work for the Center for Energy Workforce Development. I am lead of the career pathways, and I'm also director of the Higher Power program. For those of you who are not familiar with the Center for Energy Workforce Development, we're a 501c3 nonprofit out of Washington, D.C. Our membership is made up of the majority of the utilities. We have 140 utilities across the United States. That's everything from the investor-owned utilities to munis, to rural co-ops. We are energy agnostic, gas, electric, nuclear, and renewables. We also have as our members organizations and associations that serve all the different generation sources: American Public Power, American Public Gas, American Clean Power. We are made up of contractors. Labor is a huge partner of ours. We are very closely tied to NABTU, which is the North American Building Trades, and all of their labor partners underneath, as well as the IBEW, and of course, educators and workforce development. So that's a little bit about CEWD. What I'm here to talk to you today, and this is very near and dear to my heart, is the huge opportunity gap that exists in the energy industry. I would like to say when I start talking about skilled trades today, just as we are energy agnostic, we are also skilled trade agnostic. There is not a skilled trade out there that does not somehow touch the energy industry. So whether it's plumbers, pipe fitters, everybody always thinks electricians, heavy equipment operators, painters, bricklayers, you name it, and they are actively involved in the energy industry. So there is a huge ecosource of jobs out there. The big problem that we're facing today, and I'm sure that this does not come as a surprise to anybody, is the fact that women are severely underrepresented in the energy industry. And why is that a problem? Well, for multiple reasons. But first of all, we have this, I'm sorry, we could go back a slide, kind of talking around. You can also see that we have a huge and unprecedented workforce demand coming down the pike. So we need approximately 32 million hires. You can see that 17 are new and 15 are replacement workers. For many of those replacement workers, we have absolutely no idea of what the jobs are. I just hopped off a call before I got on this one, and it was with CEWD and all of our labor partners. And we were talking about what are the next registered apprenticeships that we should be looking at. What do they look like for nuclear? What do they look like for cyber? These are jobs that we don't even know what they're going to look like. So as you can see, we've got a huge retirement coming down the pike. We really need to keep up with the grid. The grid is being tested more now than it ever has. With the coming of data centers, we probably can't build fast enough. And so we're going to need that workforce to support that growth. Next slide. So here's a picture, and this is not a very pretty picture. When we look at the overall representation of women in energy, it's 26% in the overall workforce, and that 26% is primarily made up of the business units. So everything that is involved, from engineers to marketing, communications, legal, real estate, what have you, but it is not made up of the skilled trades. We have approximately 3 to 5%, which really just squares right there with the national average of women in construction and the skilled trades. So there's a lot of work to be done. As you said, if you're not looking at women to fill these positions, you are automatically lopping off approximately 47% of the candidates that you can be looking at. So it's a huge opportunity gap. Next slide. So we hear about the problem. You can't go online, you can't listen to a podcast or NPR, 60 Minutes. Everybody is talking about this huge issue that we have. So we've decided to take a look at this, but be very specific in what we are going to do. So we're going to offer a solution, not for everybody, but we are going to target women because there's a lot of ability, let's call it opportunity, to really move the needle. So through the support of the Berkshire Hathaway Energy Foundation, we started Higher Power. And this is, as it says, a transformational national initiative, and it is uniting unions, employers, community-based organizations, our trade associations, on working to how are we going to solve for this X. The X that we've come up with is 5,000 women, and our goal is to prepare 5,000 women for energy careers over the course of the next 5 years. We talk a lot about career access and a career awareness, and that is wonderful. It's great. Give folks a lens through which to view these careers, but if you're not talking about access to these jobs and these careers, you really aren't doing anything. And as you will come to see as I continue to talk, that preparing yourself for the skilled trades, there's a lot of foundational work that actually goes into that. Next, please. Again, we know that women are drastically underrepresented, and we need to find a solution to help. And that's really why Higher Power was brought into being. Next. So Higher Power, it has many different aspects to it. First of all, we have a website, and the website is really the hub through which everything flows. There's several different components, and the first is primarily to give women a lens through which to view themselves. They need, women, myself included and everybody in the audience, really needs a lens to be able to see themselves in this industry. One of the things that I often find fascinating when we are talking to skilled tradeswomen, they might have come from a family of skilled trades people, but the issue is their fathers, their grandfathers, their uncles never talked to them about it. Their brother might be a welder or a plumber or an electrician, and generally they came about it later in life. They might have fallen into it. They might have said, I have these skills. I see what my dad and brother are doing. I can do this too. But their family was not addressing them directly. So they had the career awareness, but they didn't have the access, nor did they have the mentorship. We have a program called Powerful Women. And the purpose of our Powerful Women program is to take journey level women and pair them with women who are starting to explore the skilled trades. What we have realized is it is very difficult to get women started on the journey. It is very difficult to just bring them to the starting line of whether it's an apprentice readiness program or a pre-apprenticeship. followed by the apprenticeship, but it's equally as hard to retain them once they've got started. A lot of the work that we do through Higher Power is done through our Power Hour, podcasts. So we have 2 podcasts a month, and there will be links to everything here. These podcasts are run. Our host is also works with the Center for Energy Workforce Development. She is a 30-year journeywoman with the IBEW. And thus far, we have talked to over 40 different women that are involved in many of the different skilled trades. And they're telling their stories from their perspectives, how they got started, the barriers that they've faced, and then many of the great things about the skilled trades, which includes the compensation. So we have honest and open discussions that are also very educational, that offer women the path forward for them to get started. Next slide.
So, Julie, thank you. I want to pause here and ask a few questions. So, first, obviously, thank you, one, for all of the work that y'all are doing. Obviously, it's great. And as Julie mentioned, we will share links for things like the podcast and their website so that everyone can learn more and share that out for any women that you're working with that are interested. But you talked a lot about that, how hard it is to kind of just access these fields, even if you're aware of them, especially for women, and the preparation that it kind of takes, even just to get to that day one. So, can you tell us a little bit more about effective ways to support women as they try to gain access to these skilled trades, and what kind of preparation do they need to succeed?
Sure. So I don't think there's a skilled trade out there that doesn't involve math. So we need to let everybody coming into the skilled trades that they have to have at least be able to pass algebra with a C. So that's one of the huge things. The other thing is with the skilled trades, there's many different ways to enter into them. What people most often know, they hear of apprenticeships, and that is definitely one of the starting points, but that is not the only starting point. What I like to really talk to women about is a pre-apprentice program or apprentice readiness programs. I think apprenticeships still carry, and the skilled trades carries with it a stigma that if you didn't do well in high school, you didn't want to sit still, you wanted to work with your hands, go to the skilled trades. That might have been true at one time, but that's not the case anymore. These trades are called skilled trades because there really is a lot of skill involved in what they do. And so my suggestion for every woman is there's organizations out there such as Trades Futures that runs pre-apprentice traininess programs. There's programs like the Job Corps, Youth Build. There's many different programs out there that they do need to start exploring. And our hope is that they enter into one of those programs so that they are prepared not only mentally, but they have a great understanding of what these skilled trades are going to be requiring them and the knowledge, but not only the knowledge, but they need to gain the skills just to prepare themselves to apply for an apprenticeship.
Thank you, Julie. And you kind of talked about this a little bit, like because there's so many different pathways, and it can be really complex, right? It's not just the builder, electrician, plumber, right? There's so much nuance in the skilled trades. So, like, and this can be harder for females if they have maybe less awareness. Can you tell us a little bit more about like what challenges might be specific to women when they're navigating these career pathways, and like how can we support them as they think about their career growth in the skilled trades?
Well, there's many barriers to entry for women, and I think first and foremost, it's really just the awareness. So we need to be talking to young women about these trades. We also need to show them the access points. if you know anything about many of the different apprenticeships, it's hard to find. If you don't know to go to apprenticeship.gov, you might not have any idea that these apprenticeships are out there, what's involved in an apprenticeship. So access and awareness are really the first things that you need to do to support these young women. They also need to gain an understanding of the different types of the skilled trades. There's some skilled trades where you're going to need to travel, and you may not be doing the same work the same time in the same place. You need to constantly be on the road. If you're single, that might be great. If you're a single mom, that probably couldn't work. Generally, skilled trade hours are not office hours when daycares are open. They're not 9 to 5 jobs. Skilled trades, dependent upon which one you are choosing. Take lineman, for instance. You're basically a first responder. So it could be Christmas Eve, your anniversary, and your daughter's first birthday, and a storm comes in and you have to go. So it's really giving women the understanding of what the different skilled trades are, and really having them figure out what do they possess within them that can be transferable into these skilled trades. So not only skills that they might currently possess, but also the desire as to what they want to be doing and where their talents naturally lie.
Speaking of transferable skills, I know when we were talking earlier, you gave a great example of how, like, the nuance of transferable skills is so unique to this in the skilled trades. It's not, a lot of us think about, like, oh, well, I have good communication skills and I have good leadership skills that are transferable, and those obviously are true. But can you tell us a little bit more about how we can help women identify transferable skills that transfer to trade skilled jobs?
Certainly, certainly. There's actually almost too many to talk about, which sounds like a good thing. Let's just start with some of like the basics. Manual dexterity. Um, if if people are actively involved, if women are actively involved in, just say, making pottery or jewelry, those skills and that manual dexterity really transfer into things like wiring, pipe fitting, welding. Women tend to be really good at following safety protocols. And, from previous jobs or careers they may have had, if they had been in healthcare, or if they'd been in manufacturing, or if they had been in the military, these things are very much ingrained. Um, Time management. Anybody who is a mom out there knows that time management is so important, and just, keeping the house running, keeping everybody on schedule, attention to detail, communication. I don't want to make an overarching statement, but women tend to be pretty good communicators at times. They're great with coordinating with others. And for the most part, it's those communication skills, those soft skills, that tend to really transfer well. Problem solving. Women often have many problems thrown at them, and they need to be able to think quick. And that goes right back into time management and attention to detail. Customer service. And when I'm talking about customer service, I'm not talking about answering the phone and talking to somebody about their electric bill, but rather the ability to talk to somebody, whether it's on the job or working with contractors, working with partners, but to build that level of trust and to actually listen to what people are saying. And then adaptability. These are things that women are very good at. But I think one of the things that you might be wondering, and I gave a example of, we had several women on Higher Power, and of course we asked them on the Power Hours, where did you come from? Well, one woman was a baker, and I would not have thought that a baker would have done this, but she worked with her hands. She was very good. Another woman was a barber, and I think you want your barber to pay attention to detail and have some really good manual dexterity so you don't end up with a lopsided fade. Women are coming from many different places. We had several women that were actually bus drivers for their kids when they were growing up. They were driving the school bus and they realized that translates really well into heavy equipment operator. You wouldn't have thought that, but it did. So there's really so many opportunities for women to take what they're doing now and transfer those skills into any of the skilled trades.
It's really a level of creativity, right? It's looking at things with just a different lens, taking those roles that maybe you like bus driver and baker. These are all things that we do associate a lot more with females, but really helping them see that it easily becomes a career path in one of those skilled trades. Thank you for that insight. I love those examples. The next thing that I'd love to hear a little bit about is kind of like dispelling myths, right? That myth versus reality of, what are skilled trade careers really about for especially for women? Like, what are some of the common myths that especially on your podcast, that you hear dispelled often?
Yeah. And it's funny about the myths because the myths have not changed for probably 60 years. So it's the same myths that they had back then that it seemed to still live in many ways today, hence why they're called myths. But what you hear so often are the trades are too physical for women. Are the trades physical? Absolutely. Are they too physical for women? No. They could potentially be physical for or too physical for men as well, but that's not the case anymore. Because the skilled trades, they rely on technology, they rely on tools, they rely on training and strength and teamwork, and that's not brute strength. It's work smarter, don't work harder. And across the industry, whether they're working in line work or they're working in operations or welding, there's so many roles that these are not gender specific roles, and women are thriving because there is the technology there. Occasionally, if you're a lineman, do you have to do a deadlift of somebody of 150 pounds? Yes, you do. But I would like to say many line women, we don't. There are a handful, but more young women are training for this. Um, Another myth, there's no place for women in a male-dominated field. You heard that for a long time. That might have been true at one point, but no longer. Women have a great representation in welders and operating engineers, in construction, and it's things like mentorship programs that are keeping women in these fields. And it's not just women mentoring women. There's also allies out there, and we're finding this more and more, particularly with the younger generation, that they don't look next to them and see a female there. They look next to them and see a partner. So that is no longer true that it is just a male dominated field and there's no place for women. You also would hear a lot, you need to know someone to grow up in the trades. That's not completely gone because many of the trade positions historically have been held generationally, by families from grandfather to father to son, and with good reason. These are phenomenal careers. And if you were in the know, you knew, and they did not need to go outside of square pegs fitting in square holes, um, to find more people. We do now. And so that's why we are really pushing these initiatives. Another myth was that there's no money in the trades. If anybody takes a look at any of the Bureau of Labor statistics, there is money in the trades. One thing about the trades too, as you continue, if it's through an apprenticeship, you are constantly making pay increases at different increments, 6, 9, 12 months, depending upon how you are accumulating your certificates, certifications, credentials, as well as your skills. And then lastly, you often hear that there is no balance or flexibility in the trades. This is something that's really being addressed by labor because they understand that they need to make the trades, all of the skilled trades, more flexible for women. They need to, dependent upon the trade, have more predictable shifts. They need to have that flexibility. Um, the trades do carry with it generally great benefits, and maternity and maternity leave are something that have been implemented by many of the skilled trades, as well as paternity leave. So those are some of the myths that once stood true but no longer do.
That's really interesting. One thing that stuck out to me is the deadlifting of 150, and I think some of that just it feels like such a large amount of weight when you think about it. But I stopped and thought about like at the gym, I can deadlift 210. Like that doesn't feel as heavy as it might have because I just had to try it, right? Like I had to be taught, I had to learn how to do it safely. I had to like build up over time, and like you said, it's not about, hey, day one, you're going to be doing this every single day, but are you being taught slowly over time how to prepare for those situations should they arise, just like a guy might have to as well. I also would love to add one of the things that I heard recently from a construction partner is, that it takes years to move up. And that used to be the case, probably to kind of what you were talking about, because it was this generational thing, right? Like it was a small group of individuals that worked at this company and it was all part of the family. So they all worked in the same roles. But that's all also not the case anymore because these employers, are constantly growing and they need more and more labor. And they want people to move up and get more skilled and, meet the needs of some of those boomers that are retiring and backfilling some of those higher level roles. And so across the industry, there's definitely been less of that, right? There's people that are hitting leadership in, 2, 3, 5 years, way, way shorter time frames. Are you seeing that in other areas as well?
We definitely are. When it comes to apprenticeships, the time frames generally are not condensed because they've got to do so many hours. But what we are seeing is that women are being moved into more once they're a journeywoman, or I'll just say journeyman. Please excuse my gender terminology. What we're finding is that there is such a need for journeywomen out there to train this huge funnel of new people that are coming in as apprentices. So women are having those opportunities. They're finally getting um, their knowledge and skills are being acknowledged. They are moving up. I belong to an organization called the National Association of Women in Construction. And there are more and more women who are starting their own construction firms, who are general contractors. And these women are actively seeking out other women to mentor and bring up. So the opportunity, it is really being spotlighted right now, and it's going to continue to exist. This demand for our workforce is not going to go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to grow, right? We have more people, we need more buildings, we need more, our roads, like you said, our electrical grid is in constant need of repair. And you kind of obviously you touched a little bit on like what that career growth looks like. Can you share any other insights into what a long-term career in the skilled trades is like what that and we know the industry is going to grow, but like how is it changing?
Well, because there are so many different skilled trades, we currently work with 14 of them.
Yeah.
It really depends on the skilled trade. Generally, a kind of a common trajectory for folks in the skilled trades, and this is something that is going to be really interesting to watch. But there's the whole apprenticeship to journeyman. And then from journeyman, many people become self-employed and start their own electrical business, plumbing business, HVAC business. So there is that opportunity for women to be those entrepreneurs as well. I'm sure that everybody in this audience, when you have a leak or a clog and you have to call the plumber, I mean, you almost beg them, please, please, please come, because there is a shortage of all of those skilled trade workers. So whether it's electrical or plumbing or your HVAC system goes out, the demand is there.
Absolutely. I actually had an electrician out to my house just for like a checkup through, my local company that services my unit or whatever. And he was telling me he actually started as a laborer in the construction industry and made the shift to electrician after the housing bubble popped because there was less things getting built. That was the type of construction he was doing. So I think there's also a lot to be said about the transition, like the transference between the different skilled trades, because he already had a nice bucket of skills that he could just transfer to learn the electrical side of things. So thank you so much for all these insights. And I think on the next slide, I would love to hear a little bit more for our audience about the different things that PowHer has going on and those resources available to our audience. Everyone in our audience, as Julie is going through these, go ahead and start dropping questions in the chat because we'll get to some Q&A after this.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the higherpower.org, that is our website, and that is the umbrella through which all of this lives. And that is where we really want women to start on their journey. We want to talk about the training opportunities that exist, the employment opportunities exist. You will see on there, we do have the myths and misperceptions. We talk about the transferable skills. Then we have our power hour, and we found this to be probably one of the greatest tools that we have in our toolbox right now. As we know, people generally don't read, they don't spend a lot of time on websites, but they will listen to podcasts. As we do these podcasts, we release them 2 times a month in their full form, and then we've broken them down in shorts. And these minis are somewhere between 2 and 3 minutes, and they are a great educational tool for anybody who would like to have a young woman start exploring. Have her listen to these. They're quick, they're easy, they're fun. I don't think there's been an episode yet that we haven't talked about toilets, because that seems to be a very big concern for women on all job sites, no matter what. So if you hear potty talk, it's real. It exists out there. And then we have our Powerful Women Mentoring Network. As I mentioned, this is probably one of the most important things for a woman to have in starting her journey. It's to have somebody that she can ask honest and open questions about. When we do our mentorship pairing, it's, if we can, we try to do it on a geographical basis, but we found that's not as important as being able to match women that have common interests. We also like to match women. If I'm exploring being an electrician, we'll match them with an electrician. If it's somebody that just wants to explore the skilled trades, but likes to travel and garden and this, that, and the other thing, we try to make those matches so that they have the ability to talk about other things that matter in their life, and then work right into the skilled trades. And they share stories, and there's honesty. We've also found it a great tool, and this is all done through an app, that when women are experiencing difficulty, we have all sorts of flagging systems. So women have been more likely to talk about if they're experiencing homelessness or domestic abuse or suicidal ideations. And so we are able to really, we're not helping the women with this, but we are directing them to resources where they can get help. So we are trying to remove as many barriers to entry for these women as we can. So those are, for currently, those are the 3 facets. This program, I neglected to mention, was just launched in September of 2025. We've made some tremendous strides. We have so much work to go, or so much
Well,
opportunity.
Many hands make light work, right?
Absolutely.
Takes a village. Julie, thank you so much. I know that Power, one, I'm so glad that we were able to connect. I know that you're working with one of our fellow Wanto grantees down in Florida, Girls on the Grid line. So follow them on Instagram if you want to learn more about that. But we just learned so much about not just higher power, but about women in the skilled trades. And I am even taking notes myself. I know there's so many different partners that would benefit from these resources, and Brooke has dropped them in the chat. And if you want to reach out to Julie, her information is on the slide. But I do want to make sure that we have time for questions. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. We do already have one question from Robert around IT. So just Julie, from your experience, are any of these skilled trades roles looking for women in IT for entry level roles with industry recognized credentials and durable skills?
I don't know of any right offhand, but that doesn't mean, Robert, that they're not. If you want to drop your information in here, I can check that out and get back to you. Um, I think IT skills are absolutely essential to probably every job out there, and it really depends. Um, I would have to get a better understanding of when you say IT and what exactly are you looking for, programming of drones or computer languages, or I would have to get a better understanding in order to answer that.
And that's a good point, Julie. I think about some of the roles that I've heard from employers that I've talked to recently that have like that technology piece, right? Maybe you could elaborate. You mentioned a couple like code programming might be very, relevant for drones. Are there other IT related skills that you do see pop up in the trades or like have an easy transference?
Well, it depends on the depth of the IT skills. There's not a trade out there right now that isn't using technology. Whenever you're on a job site, everybody has their pad and they're working off of that. When you talk about estimators and surveyors that are out there, those are the skilled trades as well. They're utilizing IT. So I don't think there's a job in the world that doesn't involve IT to some extent. But I really don't have the answer, or I cannot speak knowledgeably to that, other than that everybody uses technology in one form or another.
Absolutely. And it looks like Robert has his hand raised, so maybe he can have provide some clarity on his question. Go ahead, Robert.
Thank you. And thank you for doing this. I used to work with Emory with single moms, teaching them IT stuff. So I love what you're doing here. One of the questions I had was that, IT does span a lot. And the way that we've developed our program, we can put any certification in there because we give people an overall understanding of IT. And then we can do drone, we can do data analytics, we can do all of those things. The thing that I see sometimes is that some industries have to take people from other industries that have some experience, and they don't have necessarily entry level opportunities in IT. And so my question was more around that.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, Robert.
Sure.
Um, where IT would live, that would be in the business unit side. And there are many jobs in the energy industry with utilities that do utilize those or look for those certifications and qualifications. So as opposed to being craft skilled trades, that is considered business side.
Okay. And the way to find those opportunities are to go to your site on the job board, or is it
I
to
was just
go?
going to say, if you go to getintooenergy.org, there's a job board. We scrape all of our members' job boards every 24 hours, and it is broken down geographically so folks can go in there and put in their zip code and see what comes up.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Certainly.
Thank you, Robert. Are there any other questions? While I give everyone a moment to type in the chat if they've got more questions, again, Julie, I really want to thank you for being on here today and sharing your knowledge, sharing the resources. You were talking earlier about being able to connect individuals to resources to help remove as many barriers. And, it really does take all of us. It takes a village, right, to succeed together. So really just so thankful that we were able to learn from you and connect with you and that you could share this with our audience. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Sheree. And one last thing, on 2 slides back, under the resources, there's a community resource guide, and that is a fabulous resource equipping communities to launch energy careers. So if you're in the workforce development side or community-based organization side, it is, somewhat of a 101 on how to bring your clients into the energy careers. So I would highly encourage folks to take a look at that.
Excellent. Thank you. And Brooke dropped it in the chat earlier, but she re-dropped it in. So y'all can grab that, and we will make sure that those resources are also included in our digest that will come out in the coming weeks. So thank you again, Julie.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. So just a couple of quick updates from CareerRise. Obviously, we've talked a lot about apprenticeships today and this year. I think apprenticeship is our word of 2026. We are here to help you. So if you're an employer and you're considering, do I want to build an apprenticeship? How do I go about doing that? We are here to help. In the chat, you can reach out to Corinne Cadet, or her email is on the screen as well. So she can talk you through that process of picking something that's going to be good for you, good for your environment at work, and your long-term goals. As part of this webinar series and many of the efforts that we have going on, we are a WANTO grantee for this year, which stands for Women in Apprenticeship and Non-Traditional Occupations. Obviously a relevant topic to today. So if you are an employer or if you work with job seekers that might be interested in these roles, please reach out to me. My email is in the chat and on the screen, so that we can connect with you to see, is it supporting you through an apprenticeship? Is it scaling an apprenticeship that already exists and getting more women in it? Or if you're working with those job seekers, how can we get them, to Julie's point earlier, how can we get them aware, help them with access, and help them prepare and navigate those apprenticeship occupations in the skilled trades and others. We do have a couple of great partners that have openings already. And I saw him on here earlier, but our partner with the Independent Electrical Contractors, or IEC, they are right now, the application period is open to become an electrician through an apprenticeship program. And the IEC works with a huge amount of employers across the Metro Atlanta and the area, as well as other parts of Georgia. So if you are interested in becoming an electrician, or work with individuals who might be, would love for you to scan the QR code and learn about how to become an electrician and what that process would be like, and hopefully apply to their next cohort of electrician apprenticeships. One of our partners that is Southern Electric Company works closely with IEC for all of her electrician apprenticeship needs. Sorry, lots of tongue twisters today. And they love working with the IEC and have hired many individuals. So great opportunity to share out to any job seekers in your ecosystems, especially women. Let's get some more women as electricians. We also have another partner as part of WANTO, the Coca-Cola Bottling Company United. And so basically they are the ones that are doing all of the bottling and the shipping and the transportation and the warehousing of all those great Coca-Cola products that we know and love here in the Atlanta area. So they have a couple of different roles that they're actively hiring for apprenticeships. So there's 2 technician related roles, one that's more more on the service side and one that's on the maintenance side. And they also have a fleet mechanic role. So for this, if you are working with job seekers that are interested in any of these types of roles, of course, especially women, bonus points for any females, if they can email their resume to the industry partnerships team, the email is in the chat and it's also on the screen so that we can get them. They also have a great website that is dedicated just to the women that work at Coca-Cola Bottling Company United, and you can see some of those pictures on the screen. So a great company. And this is actually the gentleman that I mentioned earlier that said, if I'm not hiring women, I'm leaving half the population out of my talent pool. So he is very excited to increase his female presence at Coca-Cola Bottling Company. We also work with a partner called Georgia Commute Options. And if you're not sure, if you've never heard about Georgia Commute Options or what we call it GCO, it is a partnership with across the Metro Atlanta area to really drive cleaner commutes. But what's really great about the program is it's also a great way to just connect into more transportation options. And so for an employer, you can get involved with GCO to really help drive change and really get less cars on the road, get more people using mass transit, helps your employees get to work more consistently, maybe and bonus points for, being a cleaner commute. We all know traffic is not super fun in Atlanta, so every little bit helps to kind of keep our commute cleaner and more efficient. So for an employer, there are a lot of tax benefits for driving cleaner commute options for your employees. There's an employer recognition program. It's a great way, as I said, to attract and retain talent because you're making it easier for them to get to and from work, and maybe it's also cheaper for them. So it's really a great way to kind of enhance that positive work culture and boost your employee satisfaction. And for the employees themselves, obviously they can probably save money on gas and car expenses. There's carpooling options, biking options, right? All of the above. There's also great rewards programs, and they quite often will do little bonus games, I guess you could say, promotions to promote certain types of commutes. So there's a lot of really great reward options that are built into the system. And, all with the end goal of it's really going to avoid traffic for us as a whole, but for that employee, it's going to help save them time. It's going to improve their well-being and peace of mind because they're not sitting in traffic nearly as long. And there are some kind of last mile fail safes, like the guaranteed ride home with Uber, if they were to ever miss their bus or miss their train or things like that. So really great options. If you want to learn more, Brooke Stahl, her email is in the chat, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Of course, we would love to stay connected with all of you. If you are not already following us on LinkedIn, please follow us on LinkedIn. The link is in the chat. We also do a digest following our webinar each month. And we, summarize this, but it's also a great way to learn about any upcoming events that CareerRise is hosting, or, resources that we can provide to you, who's hiring, things like that. So would love for you to sign up for our digest if you haven't already. We do have some more webinars coming your way. So this is a monthly series. Obviously, you made it here today, but we encourage you to join us for more webinars. It's the third Thursday of the month, and we have some more topics coming up. We'll have more listed next time. We're just figuring out our next couple of months topics as we line up speakers and panelists and resources for you. And share it out with your colleagues. The more, the merrier. As we close out, we would love for you to take our webinar survey so that we can hear from you. How's it go? How is the webinar series? Are there topics that you'd like to see? And as Brooke mentioned in the chat earlier, you can save your chat so you can capture all of those great links that have been shared. You just click on the three dot menu bar in the chat window, and it'll give you an option to save the chat to download the file. So make sure and do that before you head out today. But thank you so much for joining us. And we really hope to see you all next month back here in Zoom for our next webinar. So thank you again for attending. Just a last little bit, if you need it, our email address and our phone number are on the screen. Obviously, reach out to us if you have any questions or want to connect further. But again, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month.